most people
Okay.
said yes.
And my understanding is the patriarchy says that women are oppressed and men are the oppressors.
It's not
I
as
don't believe
I don't
simple as that.
Yeah, it's not really.
Well, okay, fine. How about this? Under patriarchy, are women oppressed?
Yes, so are men.
Just a quick-
I'm the
quick
worst
question.
person. I'm going to fight with all the feminists on this one. I think we live in like basically a post. I'm going to piss you guys off. I'm sorry. I think we live in a post-patriarchal world. I don't really think it exists. I think there's some level of cultural patriarchy, but I don't think any good. Like, there's very few feminists. Like Simone de Beauvoir was like the only one actually talking about it because she's the last feminist to be like fucking good at writing, I guess. But I'm not the best person to ask to represent the feminists. Okay, I infight with feminists a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so are under patriarchy, or whether you agree with it or not, do you guys consider, say for example, in the US, are women oppressed?
Not in the
No,
U.S. No.
not in the U.S.
Like to a certain extent, I feel like like men are victims of a lot of the same things that women are. So it's kind of like they just don't talk about it as much.
I think oppressed is a really heavy word to use, and I think we have a really strong connotation of it in our minds. But I would say, with a objective use of the word oppressed, yes, women are oppressed in America.
So, and Pixie, are women oppressed in the US?
Yeah, yes, women and men are both oppressed under the patriarchy, just through different ways.
Okay.
I agree with that.
So since it sounds like you three consider yourself to be oppressed, how are you oppressed? Since you're women, you said women are oppressed, so how are you oppressed?
I mean, because I feel like it's like systematic sexual violence against women.
Well, hold on. Systematic.
Like it's so common and built into our world. And like, I feel like I'm about to start talking about some of the things I'm not supposed to talk about.
Yeah, okay.
But like, I feel like women are kind of like sexually like.
Which,
groomed is kind
let
of
me
a
ask
strong
you a question.
word,
Which
but, like,
system or institution?
Grid One Motorsports donated $200. Brian, who ordered
man.
extra blonde moments tonight. Maybe debating Andrew being a big ol' meanie is more useful, or something meaningful, like how feminism has failed them. How can the patriarchy help you?
Thank you, good one. Thank you, man. Which you mentioned system? Which system is like wholesale essaying women?
I mean, it's not wholesale, but I guess I mean you're not gonna like this. I feel like because it's not even just directly towards women. I feel like purity culture is one thing that kind of.
What's
like,
purity culture?
I feel like religion kind of teaches a lot of certain things.
What does religion kind of teach? That's so terrible.
I mean, because I feel like I'm gonna start like trigger words, but like. Your average, like, it's not like all virgins are children. That's not true. I'm not trying to say that there aren't virgin adult women. But when you start kind of like,
well, hold on.
there's a reason
you
that
have,
priests, like, I'm not
when did you get married?
I just said that there are
At
like
23?
Yeah, I'm not saying that
So-
all virgins are children. I didn't say all. Like how he said they're probably a big, strong woman who could beat a bunch of men up 80% of men.
Are you about to shame men for their preference?
I'm not shaming men for a preference. I'm saying, but it is weird. Okay, if you're a man who has like freaking 75 bodies and you want a virgin, why is that?
Well,
It's like if you're
I
a man.
think the point she's trying to get to, and correct me if I'm wrong, she's saying that we currently live in a society/system that does praise men, generally speaking, for having high body counts while shaming women who have high body counts.
I'm not sure if that's evidence of oppression. But
And by the way,
we're gonna have to define oppression here.
Is that religion?
That's not
doing
just
that?
religion.
But we're getting
okay.
a little bit off topic.
I feel like
with
when
that,
you
though.
make it like being sexual is being impure, it's kind of like, and then what group of, what are most virgins and what are most sexually active people, adults, children, like it's just kind of, I'm not saying that's 100% of the time. There are virgin adults, but majority of virgins are young. I'm not saying 100%. I'm not saying there's not exceptions.
You're not wrong to say that the majority of virgins are wrong, but if we're having
I said
a conversation,
young. Yeah, not wrong. I said majority of virgins are younger.
excuse
and
me.
so if you're kind of like putting this, if we're putting sexual purity on a high pedestal, it kind of like you know, with all that was, they were literally putting, what's it called? Sorry, my blood sugar is dropping if my words are kind of stuttering. But what was I gonna say? Like for millions and millions of dollars of hush money in the Catholic Church to go towards covering up the molestation of children, that went deep into the church. And all I'm saying is it's like.
Would you hold the public schools to the same standard, considering there's a whole lot more essay that goes on in public schools than
Can you give me a stat on that?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
In
cool.
fact, it's
Yes,
10
please.
times
No, can you
more.
give me
But
the
just
study?
because it's more
Like that.
doesn't mean
Okay.
it's okay.
No,
How am I
actually,
gonna pull it
any
up?
kind
because
of
I've
essay.
searched up for that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
stat
I can give
multiple
it to you,
times,
yeah.
And I've like, so
Yep.
do you know what like university
No,
or
but
I
what?
can't remember off
Do
the top
we,
of my
do we
head,
think
but
the
it's
reason
more.
like okay when these
essay
priests touch
in
these little boys
science.
it's because they're like pure. I feel
Yeah,
like a reason
okay,
they
stop,
touch children
stop.
is because they're pure
Stop.
in their head.
You're derailing the conversation. Go ahead. How are you
women
oppressed?
I think the best and most clear example that I can give is how women's physiology is integrated, I guess, or interacted with in American society. For example, I believe, and okay, let me. Women's physiology is not studied as much as men. So like men are used more in case studies than women. So with like a lot of medications, for example, and like just basically the understanding that we have of the human body is more. It has more of a foundation of the studying of men.
So I have heard that there's studies are more frequently done on men.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't fully looked into the points and counterpoints in that. One reason I can provide for you why that might be is because at any given time, if you're testing some new medication on somebody, if that person happens to be pregnant, that could be catastrophic to the child. So my understanding, and there could be some more points and counterpoints, is one of the reasons they're more likely to test medications on men is that there's no risk on a potential unknown pregnancy or child. That's my understanding.
It's also from menstruation because there's chemical differences and distinctions which can happen during the course of the study, and women can't always track that. So they might think it's coming, right, but they don't know for sure. Sometimes it's 2 weeks late, sometimes it's a week early, so they can't always do that for the purpose
Wait,
of
so
the study.
but your point, you're saying that women are oppressed because they're less likely to have experimental drugs tested on them?
No,
that
that
would
is-
suggest to me that men are desperate for money and that they're willing to undergo, like take these experimental drugs just to get money.
So that
Because
is-
it's certainly the case that men, for example, are more likely to be homeless and more likely to be socioeconomically in a bad position. You disagree
So-
with that? Then how can it possibly
No,
be
I'm
that
I'm not disagreeing about homelessness. What do you mean? I guess it means exactly what you mean by socioeconomic
if
position.
80%
'Cause
of
to
the
my
homeless are men,
understanding,
that would suggest to me that the worst socioeconomic
position is homelessness, right? But then I guess the argument would be
Outcome.
or because you can argue like the majority of like, and this is just playing with numbers now, right? Because you can argue the majority of men are homeless, right? Or of homeless people are men. But then let's say the number of moms in poverty, maybe not homeless, are like 10 times higher than the base number of homeless people, right? Then that would suggest like some fuckery there when it comes to like how we're determining what sex is like suffering
I'd be
as
curious
a
to
whole.
Google
Or
the
a
I don't know.
poverty-
I honestly don't know. That's why my face was
poverty
like, wait a
rates
second.
by gender. Poverty rates by gender. Let me see. Hold on. I just want to make sure I'm getting a good one. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably won't address the like control that Pixie's asking for. Just to like stay on it a little bit. You would need to look like what she's basically saying is like probably when you look at the lowest socioeconomic standard, which would be homeless individuals. Fuck, I hate still landing people and I don't agree with them. Okay, fuck. Like essentially this like lowest body group essentially is probably mostly men. But the issue is that if you go up to like just a slightly higher group, which would be like single mothers, there's probably disproportionately like way more women there than there are even men in the homeless stature. So it's like it's hard to quantify like who's more poor overall because who's more homeless overall is men. Who's more often like alone to raise children? Well, that's women. I think that's the point she's getting at.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would argue that homelessness is probably worse than just living in poverty.
No, you're not understanding my base argument. I'm gonna try to play with numbers here to make it more clear. Let's say there's 100
Can
homeless.
I take a shot at it?
Okay.
Just
yeah.
to make sure we get. So you're saying that it could be disproportionate to the next socioeconomic levels. So you're not sure if just showing that there's a X rate of homelessness among men would really give us the full picture.